Ahdaf Suwaif, a prominent novelist, is packing her belongings to vacate her lovely two-story home on the banks of the River Nile. She's leaving behind cherished memories of a place she fell in love with from first sight when she relocated from England 10 years ago.
It was like a fantasy come true. The idea that you could actually, live in a piece of iconic Cairo on the river was amazing. So I bought it and we spent a year renovating it and restoring it. My children, my two sons and their wives have lived here on and off. They've both had their weddings here. My grandchildren are with me a lot. I would almost say that they live here. And friends' children have had their weddings. It's become a family home. And I had always hoped that at the last stage of my life, I would be somewhere where I could see the river.
This dream has come to an abrupt end with the government's decision to remove houseboats on Cairo's River Nile.
The houseboats are not licensed. They are docked on marines. The houseboats and marines need licenses. The licenses are renewed every year, but the owners of these houseboats haven't been paying the license fees for years. The decision was taken in 2016 and began implementation in 2020. They gave the owners 2 years to issue licenses or leave.
The evacuation has created a public backlash. Hundreds of houseboats built since the early 19th century on the upscale side of the capital have had a cultural, historic and romantic presence in the hearts of Egyptians. It's reflected in many popular movies filmed on its decks. But the government says the only boats allowed now are commercial ones such as restaurants and nightclubs.
The state is developing the city, having old haphazard houses there for 70 years or 80 years, with individuals living in these boats and damaging the Nile. Then it should be removed. When it's a touristic institution or restaurant, it will be under strict monitoring by the government and adhere to the tough state regulations. It's much better this way.
Suwaif says the 30 remaining houseboat owners were told either to pay hefty fees that exceed $55,000 each and change the houseboats to commercial use or leave. Unable to afford the amount, all have opted out.
They think that there is a better, a more profitable use for this spot of the river. Obviously, we pay rates and we pay parking and we pay licenses, apart from, of course, paying for services like electricity and water. But in the end, whatever you can pay as a residential place, I suppose it can't compare with what a commercial place would pay.
Owners went to court and relied on public sentiment to convince the government to change its stance. After months of complaints by houseboat owners like these and pressure from the social media, several parliament members have finally moved to call for a hearing in the assembly. But it's too little, too late. The houseboats are already being broken up. Unlike some others, Suwaif can afford a place to stay, but is still visibly emotional about the home she's lost.
It's not going to be residential, it's not going to be your home, but it won't be destroyed and it could have a new and different life. It's all very different. We are having to leave, we will leave. It's very sad. You get very attached to the boat.
An attachment, she says, will be eternal. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Cairo.